This is 98.3 FM, Outbreak FM. David Morgan here, broadcasting from the Pacific Majesty cruise ship, currently 247 nautical miles southwest of Los Angeles in the Pacific Ocean. It's 2:18 p.m. on day 4 of what was supposed to be a 7-day luxury Caribbean cruise. And I need everyone listening to understand our situation, because something catastrophic is happening on this ship, and we're trapped in the middle of the ocean with nowhere to run. Sarah just handed me the initial report from Ship Medical. At 11:43 a.m. today, approximately 2 hours and 35 minutes ago, a passenger in cabin B347 became violently ill. Severe fever, disorientation, aggressive behavior. The ship's doctor, Dr. Marcus Webb, initially diagnosed it as food poisoning or norovirus. Standard cruise ship illness. Happens all the time. Quarantine the passenger, treat the symptoms, monitor for spread. But 15 minutes after the first passenger was quarantined, 3 more cases appeared. Different decks, different dining schedules, different demographics. A honeymooning couple in their 20s, a retired businessman in his 60s, a cruise staff member who worked in the casino, all exhibiting the same symptoms: fever, aggression, unresponsiveness to verbal commands, attempting to bite medical personnel. Dr. Webb upgraded his diagnosis to unknown infectious disease at 12:04 p.m. He contacted the ship's captain, Robert Chun, and recommended implementing enhanced quarantine protocols. Captain Chun authorized medical lockdown of the affected cabins and announced mandatory health screenings for all passengers and crew. That was 47 minutes ago. Since then, the case count has exploded. We now have 37 confirmed cases. 37 passengers and crew exhibiting violent behavior, attempting to attack others, showing no response to pain or restraint. They're being held in the ship's medical center and in makeshift quarantine areas on Deck 3. The medical center is designed for maybe 10 patients maximum. We have 37. And the number keeps growing. 2:24 p.m. Sarah's monitoring communications between the ship and Coast Guard. Captain Chun is requesting emergency evacuation. The Coast Guard response is, they're refusing. They're telling us to maintain position, to implement quarantine, to wait for CDC guidance. They're not sending helicopters, not sending rescue vessels. They're treating this as potential pandemic situation, and we're the contaminated zone that needs to be isolated. We're on our own, 4,200 people on this ship, 3,000 passengers, 1,200 crew, trapped on a floating city in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, with an infection spreading through enclosed spaces at exponential rates, and no help coming. The Pacific Majesty is a modern cruise ship, 15 decks, 1,500 passenger cabins, multiple restaurants, pools, theaters, casinos, shopping arcades. It's a quarter-mile long, 90,000 gross tons. It's a city. A beautiful, luxurious city designed for pleasure and relaxation. And now it's becoming a floating tomb. 2:31 p.m. I need to explain how Sarah and I are on this ship. We were covering the cruise industry for a travel feature, documenting life aboard luxury liners. We brought our portable broadcast equipment, set up a temporary studio in our cabin on Deck 9. We've been doing daily broadcasts about cruise life, entertainment, dining, shore excursions, happy vacation content. And now we're broadcasting emergency information to 4,200 terrified people who just realized their vacation became a nightmare. The ship's layout is critical to understanding what's happening. Decks 1 to 3, crew quarters, kitchen, storage, mechanical systems. DECKs 4 to 6, interior cabins, no windows, cheapest accommodations. Decks 7 to 10, exterior cabins with balconies. Decks 11 to 13, luxury suites, specialty restaurants, adult-only areas. Deck 14, Lido deck, main pool area, buffet. Deck 15, sports deck, rock climbing wall, mini golf. The infected are currently concentrated on decks 3 to 6, the lower and mid-level areas where most passengers and crew interact. 2:38 p.m. Ship security is reporting that the quarantined individuals are exhibiting unusual strength. They're breaking through standard cabin doors, overpowering security personnel who try to restrain them. 3 security officers are injured. Bite wounds, deep lacerations. They're being treated in medical, but Dr. Webb is concerned. The bitten officers are developing fever rapidly, within minutes of being bitten. That's not normal infection timeline. That's accelerated pathogen progression. Sarah's coordinating with passengers via the ship's internal communication system. We're getting reports from all over the vessel. Someone on Deck 5 reports their cabin neighbor is acting crazy, trying to break down the door. Someone in the main dining room says a waiter collapsed, started seizing, then got up and attacked a busboy. Someone at the pool deck witnessed a passenger jump into the water, not swimming, just sinking. But before they sank, they bet another swimmer. This is spreading everywhere simultaneously. Not from a single source, multiple patients 0. Like the infection was distributed across the ship before symptoms appeared. Incubation period we didn't know about. And now everyone who is infected is showing symptoms at once. Coordinated outbreak across 15 decks and 4,200 people. 2:47 p.m. Captain Chun is making the ship-wide announcement. Sarah's patching it through our broadcast. This is Captain Chun. We are experiencing a medical emergency. All passengers are ordered to return to your cabins immediately. Lock your doors. Do not leave for any reason. Crew members will deliver food and water to your cabins. Medical personnel are treating affected individuals. We are in contact with authorities and following CDC protocols. Do not panic. Stay in your cabins. This is a direct order from the captain. Lockdown the entire ship. 3,000 passengers confined to 1,500 cabins. 2 people per cabin on average. Some solo travelers in single occupancy. Some families crammed into suites. All of them locked in small rooms with no information except what we're broadcasting. The psychological pressure is going to be immense. 2:54 p.m. We're getting reports that some passengers are refusing to comply. The casino is still full. Maybe 200 people gambling, drinking, ignoring the captain's orders. They think it's overreaction. Just a flu outbreak. Nothing to worry about. They're wrong, terminally wrong. Because Sarah's watching security cameras, and she's seeing infected moving through the casino level right now. Walking, shambling, attacking. The screaming starts at 2:57 p.m. We can hear it through the ship's walls. Not from one location, from everywhere. Multiple decks, multiple directions. The infection has reached critical mass. The infected population is large enough, distributed enough, aggressive enough that containment has failed. The quarantine didn't hold, the locked doors didn't stop them. And now the ship is experiencing system-wide outbreak. 3:04 p.m. Dr. Webb is broadcasting from medical. His voice is shaking. This is Dr. Webb. The infection is transmitted through bites and possibly other fluid contact. Symptoms appear within 5 to 15 minutes of exposure. Infected individuals become extremely aggressive, non-responsive to communication, and exhibit reduced pain sensation. If you are bitten, isolate yourself immediately. Inform ship medical. Do not, I repeat, do not remain in populated areas if you're infected. You will endanger others. 5 to 15 minutes. That's the window between bite and turning. Not hours. Not days, minutes. If you're attacked and bitten, you have maybe 10 minutes before you become the thing that attacked you. That's terrifying. That eliminates any hope of treatment, quarantine, cure. You're bitten, you're condemned. The only question is whether you spend your last minutes protecting others or endangering them. 3:11 p.m., the first death is confirmed. A passenger in the casino. Attacked by infected, sustained multiple bite wounds, bled out before security could intervene. The body was left where it fell, Security evacuated the area, sealed the casino. Too dangerous to retrieve the body. Too dangerous to enter that space. The casino is written off, abandoned. The first territory surrendered to the infected. And here's what's disturbing. Sarah's watching the security feed from the casino. The dead passenger is moving. Not dead anymore. Got up approximately 3 minutes after being declared deceased. Stood up. Started walking. Started hunting. Death isn't the end. Death is transformation. The dead become infected. The infected spread the infection. The cycle is self-perpetuating and unstoppable without aggressive intervention. 3:19 p.m. Ship security is implementing defensive positions. They're creating barriers at stairwell entrances on Deck 7, trying to keep infected contained to lower decks. Protecting the upper decks where most passengers have complied with lockdown orders. It's vertical triage. Save the upper decks. Write off the lower ones. Brutal calculus. Necessary strategy. But there's a problem. The ship has 36 stairwells, multiple elevators, service corridors, maintenance passages. The infected can access upper decks through routes security can't all defend. The ship is too big, too complex, too many access points. Full containment is impossible with available personnel. 3:27 p.m. Captain Chen is redirecting the ship. We were heading towards Cabo San Lucas for a scheduled port stop tomorrow. Chen has changed course. We're heading back toward Los Angeles, requesting emergency docking. But Coast Guard is responding. Negative. You are not cleared for port entry. Maintain open ocean position. Await further instructions. They're not letting us dock. We're contaminated. We're biohazard. If we dock, we risk spreading infection to the mainland. We're being sacrificed. 4,200 people written off to protect 40 million people in Southern California. The math is cold. The math is correct. The math means we're going to die out here. 3:36 p.m. Sarah and I are fortifying our cabin. Deck 9, cabin 9 to 214. We have a balcony, ocean view. Very nice accommodations in normal circumstances. Now it's our fortress. We're moving furniture against the door. Heavy dresser, desk, anything that adds mass. Creating barrier between us and whatever's in the corridor outside. We have supplies for maybe 3 days. Snacks from the minibar, bottled water. Sarah grabbed extra food from the buffet this morning. We have our broadcast equipment, battery powered. Can transmit for days if we conserve power. We have communication with the outside world, even if we're trapped. The balcony is our escape route if the cabin is breached. We're 9 decks up. Drop to water is approximately 90 feet. Survivable if we jump correctly. Dangerous because of impact. More dangerous because there might be infected in the water. We saw passengers jumping earlier, some infected, some fleeing. The ocean around the ship might be full of floating infected. Swimming zombies. Nightmare scenario. 3:47 p.m. 1 hour since the first case. We've gone from 1 sick passenger to maybe 500 infected. The growth rate is exponential. Every infected creates multiple new infected. Every new infected exponentially increases the infection rate. If this continues, the entire ship could be infected by midnight. 4,200 people, all turned. All trapped on a floating ship with nowhere to go. Sarah's crying, not loudly, just quiet tears. We came on this cruise for a vacation feature, happy content. Tropical destinations. Instead, we're documenting the apocalypse at sea. Broadcasting survival information to thousands of people trapped in a horror scenario none of us could have imagined. But we're broadcasting, because that's what we do. Because people need information, need to know what's happening, need to hear human voices telling them they're not alone. So we broadcast from our fortified cabin on a plague ship, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and we tell the truth. We're in trouble. Help isn't coming. We have to save ourselves, or we die here. This is day 4. Hour 1 of the outbreak. The Paradise cruise became floating hell, and we're all trying to figure out how to survive until dawn. Part 2. The ship falls, 3:54 p.m. to 7:42 p.m. Day 4, 3:54 p.m. Sarah's monitoring ship communications. Captain Chen is organizing evacuation drills for crew, not passenger evacuation. Crew only. The lifeboats can hold maybe 5,000 people total. We have 4,200 aboard. Mathematically, everyone could evacuate. But practically, that requires calm, orderly deployment of all boats simultaneously. In outbreak conditions with infected roaming the ship, orderly evacuation is impossible. Shun is prioritizing essential crew. Engineers who can operate lifeboats. Medical personnel, security. They're being directed to muster stations. Preparing for potential emergency launch. The passengers were being told to remain in cabins. The implication is clear. Crew evacuates first. Maybe only crew evacuates. Passengers are expendable. We're cargo that became liability. I understand the logic. Crew members have training, have skills, can survive at sea in lifeboats. Passengers are civilians, panicking, untrained. We'd capsize boats, fight over seats, doom ourselves through chaos. Better to let trained crew survive than lose everyone through poor execution. But it's still cruel. Still a death sentence for 3,000 people who paid for luxury vacation and got plague ship instead. 4:08 p.m. The infected have reached Deck 7. Security's defensive line failed. Too many access points. Too few security personnel. The infected pushed through service corridors, maintenance shafts, areas security couldn't cover. Now they're on passenger decks, on the level where cabins are occupied by people in lockdown. We can hear them in the corridor outside our cabin, shuffling, moaning, testing door handles. Our barricade is holding, but the door is shaking. Something on the other side pushing. Not intelligent pushing, just persistent, constant. Like they know prey is inside, and they're patient enough to keep trying until they find a way in. Sarah's watching the peephole. She counts 4 infected in our corridor. All passengers based on their clothing. 1 in a Hawaiian shirt, 1 in evening wear, 1 in swimsuit, 1 in crew uniform. They're not actively attacking our door. Just wandering, pausing at each cabin, testing, moving on. Hunting through pattern rather than strategy. 4:21 p.m. Dr. Webb is reporting casualties. 43 confirmed dead from infected attacks. Another 27 infected from bites. And those are just the cases he knows about. The actual count is probably much higher. People dying in locked cabins, in stairwells, in areas medical can't access. The true death toll might be hundreds already, in 4 hours. From first case to hundreds dead. He's also reporting that the infection is definitely transmitted through bites, and possibly through scratches, and possibly through exposure to infected blood via mucous membranes. Basically, any fluid contact can spread it, which makes combat extremely dangerous. Even successfully fighting off infected carries infection risk. Killing them exposes you to their blood. It's catch-22. Fight and risk infection. Don't fight and definitely die. 4:37 p.m. The ship's power is fluctuating. Lights flickering. Air conditioning cutting out. Engineering reports that infected have entered mechanical spaces on Deck 2. They're interfering with systems, not intentionally sabotaging. Just wandering through areas they shouldn't be. Touching controls. Damaging equipment through chaotic movement. If power fails completely, we lose lighting, climate control, refrigeration, water pressure, communication systems. The ship becomes dark, hot, unsanitary. Survival becomes exponentially harder. We need engineering to secure the mechanical spaces. But engineering crew is being prioritized for evacuation. The systems keeping the ship functional are being abandoned to save the people who know how to maintain them. 4:54 p.m. Passenger resistance is forming. We're getting radio calls from cabin clusters who've organized defense. Deck 10, cabins 10 to 330 through 10 to 350. 20 cabins. Approximately 40 passengers. They've broken down connecting doors between cabins, created large defended space. They're coordinating watches, sharing food, acting as single unit instead of isolated individuals. It's smart, survival through community. Larger groups can defend better than individuals, can maintain continuous watch rotations, can support each other psychologically. The isolation of single cabins creates vulnerability. The connection of multiple cabins creates strength. We're encouraging other passengers to try the same strategy if they can safely coordinate with neighbors. 5:11 p.m. The cruise director, Amanda Price, is making unauthorized announcement. Captain Chun ordered radio silence from all ship personnel. But Price is broadcasting anyway. This is Amanda Price. I'm on deck 14 at the main pool. There are approximately 300 passengers here. We've barricaded the deck entrances. We have food from the buffet. We have water from the pool bars. We're organizing defense. If you can safely reach deck 14, we'll let you in. But only if you're not infected. We're screening everyone. If you're bitten, if you're sick, don't come. We can't help you, and you'll endanger 300 people. I'm sorry, but that's reality. Price out. Shun is furious. He's ordering Price to cease communications, but she's not complying. She's created safe zone, and she's advertising it, giving hope to scattered passengers that there's refuge. It undermines command authority, but it saves lives. Sometimes insubordination is heroism. 5:28 p.m. Sarah and I are discussing our options. Stay in the cabin? It's relatively safe for now, but supplies run out in 3 days. Then what? Hope rescue arrives? Hope the infection burns out? Hope the infected degrade to the point where we can safely leave. Attempt to reach deck 14 safe zone? It's 4 decks up and probably 300 yards forward on the ship, through corridors potentially full of infected. High risk, but if we make it, we join 300 people with better resources and collective defense. Worth the risk? Maybe, maybe not. Use the lifeboat? Our cabin is near a lifeboat station. If we can reach the boat, launch it, we escape the ship. But Sarah and I don't know how to operate lifeboats. Don't know if they're even launchable from our position. Don't know if we'd survive at sea in a small boat for potentially days until rescue. It's desperation option. Last resort when all others fail. For now we stay, we broadcast, we maintain information flow. We coordinate survivors. It's our contribution. Our role. As long as the cabin holds, we serve this function. 5:46 p.m. The first lifeboat launches. Not authorized by captain. Crew members in panic decided to evacuate independently. 23 people in a boat designed for 70. They launched successfully. The boat is on the water, moving away from the ship. They're abandoning us, saving themselves without orders. It's mutiny. It's survival instinct overriding duty. It's rational response to irrational situation. Captain Chun is ordering all remaining crew to stations, trying to prevent more unauthorized launches. But the order is too late. 3 more boats launch in the next 15 minutes. Total crew evacuated, approximately 90. Remaining crew, 1,110. Remaining passengers, 3,000. Remaining infected, unknown but growing. The sight of lifeboats leaving is psychologically devastating. People in cabins watching through portholes. Seeing crew escape while they're locked inside dying ship. The betrayal. The abandonment. It breaks morale. It creates panic. People are trying to force cabin doors, fighting to reach lifeboats, creating chaos that helps infected hunt them. 6:04 p.m. Engineering reports main power failure imminent. The infected in mechanical spaces have damaged critical systems. Engineers can't access the area safely to make repairs. The ship will lose primary power within the hour. Emergency generators will activate, but they only power essential systems. Minimal lighting, basic communications, no climate control, no elevators, no water pressure above deck 8. Losing power means losing advantages. Darkness favors infected. They don't need light to hunt. We do. Climate control failure means temperatures will rise. 4,000 plus people in enclosed metal structure under Caribbean sun. Interior temperatures could reach 100 plus degrees. Heat exhaustion becomes danger alongside infection. Water pressure loss means no water above deck 8. Our cabin on deck 9 loses running water. We're dependent on bottled water, and when that runs out, deck 14 safe zone has pool water. We might need to attempt the journey just for water access. Basic resources become critical within days. 6:23 p.m. Sarah's received message from her sister Emily, who's on this cruise. Emily is in cabin 5 to 178 on deck 5. Lower deck. The deck that fell first. Emily's been hiding for 3 hours. She can hear infected outside her door. She's alone, terrified, asking if we can rescue her. Sarah wants to go, wants to get her sister. I'm saying no. It's suicide. Deck 5 is overrun. We'd have to go down 4 decks through infected territory. Even if we reached Emily, we'd have to fight back up, with 3 people, minimal weapons. Against unknown number of infected. The math doesn't work. We'd all die attempting rescue. That's almost impossible. Sarah knows I'm right, but she's begging anyway. Saying Emily's her sister. Saying we can't leave her. Saying we have to try. And I'm saying trying gets us killed and helps no one. Cold logic. Correct logic. Devastating logic. Sarah's breaking. Not just from outbreak stress. From knowing her sister is dying, and she's choosing not to die with her. Survivor's guilt before the death even happens. 6:41 p.m. Main power fails. The ship goes dark. Emergency lights activate. Dim red lighting in corridors. Enough to see shapes. Not enough for clear visibility. The ship feels different in darkness. More dangerous. More oppressive. The luxury cruise liner has become haunted ship. And the ghosts are infected passengers hunting through red-lit corridors. Temperature is already rising. We can feel it. The air conditioning is gone. The ship's insulation that kept us cool now traps heat. Within hours, it'll be unbearable. We're opening the balcony door, getting airflow, but that's a risk too. Sound carries. Infected might hear us, might be attracted to our location. We're trading heat mitigation for security risk. No good choices, just less bad ones. 6:58 p.m. Captain Chun makes final announcement. This is Captain Chun. Primary power has failed. Ship is operating on emergency systems only. I am authorizing general evacuation. All passengers and crew proceed to lifeboat stations. Launch boats as capacity allows. This is not a drill. Abandon ship. I repeat, abandon ship. Abandon ship. The captain's last resort. The admission that the vessel is lost. Chun is giving up the Pacific Majesty, condemning it to float as plague ship. Maybe eventually sink. Maybe just drift forever as floating tomb. But it's not worth fighting for anymore. It's not savable. Just escape while you can. But abandon ship assumes you can reach lifeboats. Assumes you can navigate through infected controlled corridors. Assumes boats are still available and operable. Many passengers can't meet those assumptions. They're trapped in cabins. Or surrounded, or injured, or simply too scared to move. Abandon ship saves those who can self-rescue. Condemns those who can't. 7:18 p.m. Chaos in the corridors. We can hear it even through our barricaded door. Hundreds of people fleeing cabins. Running for lifeboats, screaming. Fighting, the infected pursuing. It's stampede. People trampling each other in panic. Creating noise that attracts more infected. The evacuation is disaster, uncontrolled, deadly. Sarah's watching through peephole. She sees passengers running past our cabin. Some make it. Others are caught. Pulled down. Attacked. The corridor outside is battlefield. Bodies. Blood. People. Dying within sight of our door, and we can't help because opening the door means dying with them. 7:42 p.m. The evacuation has failed for most passengers. Maybe 1,000 people reached lifeboats. The boats are launching. Overloaded. People fighting for spaces. Some boats capsize from improper loading. People drowning. It's catastrophe. The rescue becomes another mode of death. Different method. Same result. We didn't evacuate. Couldn't. The corridor outside was too dangerous. We stayed in the cabin. Sarah and I and our broadcast equipment. Still transmitting. Still coordinating. Still trying to help the 3,000 people still trapped on the ship with us. The infected count has grown. The human count has shrunk. And we're entering the first night of the outbreak at sea. This is day 4, hour 5. The Pacific Majesty has fallen. The crew evacuated. The passengers are scattered, hiding, dying, fighting. The ship is dark, hot, filled with infected and terrified survivors. And we're broadcasting through it all, documenting the disaster, providing information, maintaining hope even when hope seems impossible. Sarah just asked Emily's status. Emily isn't responding anymore. Her radio went silent. Either her battery died or she did. Sarah's not handling it well, but she's staying functional. Still broadcasting. Still helping others even while grieving sister she might have lost. We're approaching sunset. Night on a plague ship. In the ocean. With no power. Surrounded by infected. This is hell. This is survival. This is day 4 of the cruise that was supposed to be paradise. Stay with Outbreak FM. We'll broadcast through the night, through whatever comes. As long as we can. As long as you need us. Part 3. Night at Sea, 7:49 p.m. to 11:54 p.m. Day 4. 7:49 p.m. Sunset. The ocean outside our balcony is turning orange and purple, beautiful. Completely disconnected from the horror inside the ship. Nature doesn't care that 3,000 people are trapped on a floating death trap. Doesn't care that infected hunt through darkened corridors. Doesn't care that rescue isn't coming. The sun sets, the ocean rolls. Life continues even as we die. Sarah's cataloging what we know. Approximately 1,000 people evacuated in lifeboats. Status unknown but presumably safer than remaining on ship. Approximately 2,200 people still aboard. Mix of passengers and crew who couldn't or wouldn't evacuate. Unknown number infected. Estimate 800 to 1,000 based on progression rate. Leaving 1,200 to 1,400 surviving humans scattered across 15 decks. The infected control decks 1 to 6 almost completely. Decks 7 to 9 are contested. Infected presence but also survivor pockets. Decks 10 to 13 have organized survivor groups. Deck 14 has Amanda Price's 300-person safe zone. Deck 15 is mostly empty. Too exposed. Too hard to defend. The ship is layered. Lower decks lost. Middle decks fighting. Upper decks holding. 8:07 p.m. We're getting radio calls from survivor groups. Sharing their status. Deck 7, cabin 7 to 210 to 7 to 230. 28 people. Barricaded. Low on food. Requesting supply guidance. Deck 10 luxury suites, 42 people. Well supplied from suite minibars and room service carts. Defended. Can hold indefinitely if infected don't breach. Deck 12 VIP area, 18 people. Have weapons from ship's skeet shooting gallery. Armed. Confident. Planning offensive to clear stairwells. Each group is an island. Isolated. Self-sufficient. Coordinated only through our broadcasts. We're the network. The communication hub. The only thing connecting scattered survivors into cohesive resistance. If we go silent, they fragment. Lose morale, die isolated. As long as we broadcast, they have hope. 8:29 p.m. Amanda Price from Deck 14 Safe Zone is reporting. Her 300 people are organized. She's established leadership council. 5 people making decisions collectively. They've created work rotations, guard duty, food preparation, waste management, medical care for injured. They're functioning as miniature society, self-governing, efficient, proving humans can organize even in catastrophe. She's also reporting infected attempts to reach Deck 14. They're gathering at stairwell barriers. Not attacking intelligently, just pushing, constant pressure. The barriers are holding but degrading. Price estimates 2 to 3 days before infected breach through accumulated pressure. Unless survivors reinforce defenses, Deck 14 falls by day 7. They're requesting volunteers for supply runs to lower decks. Need materials to strengthen barriers, wood, metal, anything that adds structural integrity. But supply runs mean going into infected territory, mean risking the runners. Price is asking for volunteers, knowing she's asking people to potentially die for community survival. Hard leadership. Necessary leadership. 8:51 p.m. Temperature inside ship is rising. Sarah's thermometer reads 87 degrees in our cabin. It's uncomfortable. Not deadly yet, but we're only 4 hours into power failure. By midnight, might reach 95. By dawn, might exceed 100. Heat exhaustion becomes a real threat. We need water. Need cooling. Need to manage temperature, or we die from environment before infected reach us. We're rationing our water. Sips instead of drinks. Making our supplies last. We have maybe 1 gallon remaining. At current consumption, that's 2 days. Then we need to either resupply from Deck 14 pool, or risk dehydration. The clock is ticking on multiple fronts. Food, water, battery power for broadcast equipment. Every resource is finite. Every hour depletes our sustainability. 9:14 p.m. Something's in the water or on the ship. Sarah's watching from the balcony. She sees movement. Floating figures. Initially thought they were survivors from capsized lifeboats. But the movement is wrong. They're not swimming, just drifting. And when one drifts close to a lifeboat that's still nearby, they reach up, try to climb in. The people in the lifeboat scream, push the figure away. It sinks, resurfaces, keeps trying. They're infected, in the water. Either fell overboard or were pushed or jumped. They can't swim. Can't coordinate movement well enough. But they don't drown either. They don't need to breathe apparently. They just float, suspended, waiting. Any lifeboat that gets too close risks infected climbing aboard. The ocean isn't safe. The ship isn't safe. There's nowhere to hide where infected can't reach. 9:37 p.m. Sarah's sister Emily is back on the radio. She's alive. She barricaded herself in her bathroom when infected breached her cabin. She's been in there for 4 hours. She can hear them outside the bathroom door. Testing, scratching. They know she's inside. They're patient. They'll wait. She's trapped. No food, limited water from sink, no escape route. She's alive but doomed unless someone rescues her. Sarah's begging me to go, saying we can save her. I'm running the numbers. Deck 9 to Deck 5, 4 decks down. Probably 8 flights of stairs through infected territory. Then navigate Deck 5 corridors to Emily's cabin. Then 4 decks back up carrying Emily who's exhausted. Against unknown infected count. With improvised weapons, success probability is maybe 10%. Death probability 90%. Do we risk our lives for 10% chance? Sarah says yes, says Emily's her sister. Says family matters. Says we have to try even if we die trying. I say trying gets us killed and helps no one. Emily dies anyway when we fail to rescue her. We die attempting impossible task. The broadcast ends. 1,200 other survivors lose their information source. Trying to save one person dooms many others who depend on us. Sarah's crying, but she's accepting the logic, hating it. But accepting it. We're not going. Emily will die in that bathroom. Alone. Terrified. While Sarah listens helplessly from 4 decks away. This is the cost of survival. Choosing who dies so others might live. And living with those choices. 10:04 p.m. The Deck 12 group is attempting their offensive. 18 armed people moving down to Deck 11, trying to clear stairwells. Establish secured vertical routes between decks. It's ambitious, dangerous, but if successful, creates mobility for survivors, allows coordination, enables supply runs. Worth the risk if they pull it off. We're monitoring their progress via radio. They've cleared Deck 11 stairwell successfully. Encountered 8 infected. Eliminated all 8 with shotgun headshots. Moving to Deck 10 stairwell. Confidence building. Teamwork functioning. They're proving infected can be fought. Can be beaten by organized armed groups. It's hope. Tangible evidence that resistance works. 10:23 p.m. The Deck 12 offensive has failed. They reached Deck 10 stairwell. Found it full of infected. Estimate 50 plus. Too many to fight. They were surrounded, forced to retreat. Lost 4 people in the fighting. The survivors made it back to Deck 12, but they're demoralized. Shocked by the density of infected. The offensive proved that while small groups can be beaten, large concentrations are impassable. Decks 1 to 9 are lost. Too many infected. Too little ammunition. Upper decks are isolated from lower decks indefinitely. 10:47 p.m. Sarah's monitoring SOS calls from lifeboats. Multiple boats reporting they're taking on water. Overloaded. Improperly launched. Some are sinking. People drowning in the dark ocean. They're calling for rescue that isn't coming. Coast Guard isn't responding. Other ships are avoiding the area. We're quarantine zone. No one enters. The people in lifeboats are dying from exposure, drowning, or infected that somehow reached their boats. The evacuation that was supposed to save people is killing them differently. Better to have stayed on ship? Maybe, maybe not. At least lifeboats offered chance. Staying on ship is guaranteed doom. Dying in lifeboat versus dying on ship. Both terrible. One offers illusion of escape. Maybe that's worth it even if the escape fails. 11:18 p.m. We're approaching midnight. End of day 4. Start of day 5. We've survived approximately 8 hours of outbreak. 8 hours since first case. 8 hours that transformed luxury cruise into floating horror. And we're still here. Still broadcasting. Still coordinating. Still fighting. The ship is quieter now. The initial chaos has settled. Survivors are hidden. Infected are wandering. The screaming has decreased. Either because there are fewer people to scream, or because survivors learn to scream silently. The Pacific Majesty has become ghost ship, populated by monsters and terrified humans hiding from them. 11:42 p.m. Emily's radio went silent again. Sarah's trying to reach her. No response. Either battery died or Emily died. We don't know. Might never know. Sarah's breaking down. Not loudly. Just quiet collapse. The stress. The grief. The guilt of surviving while others die. She's still functional. Still broadcasting, but she's wounded. Psychologically damaged. And there's no therapy available. No treatment. Just endurance. Just surviving the trauma while living through more trauma. 11:54 p.m. Midnight. Day 5 begins. We made it through day 4, through the outbreak, through the chaos, through the evacuation disaster. We're alive in a fortified cabin, on a plague ship, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, with no rescue coming, limited supplies, degrading situation, and no plan except survive another day. This is Outbreak FM, end of day 4, beginning of day 5, the cruise that became nightmare, the vacation that became fight for survival. We're still here, still broadcasting, still refusing to surrender. Tomorrow brings new challenges, new horrors, but also new possibilities. Maybe rescue comes. Maybe infected degrade. Maybe we figure out how to survive this. Maybe. That's all we have. Maybe. And maybe is enough reason to keep fighting. Stay with us. Day 5 comes with sunrise. We'll face it together. Part 4. Day 5, Survival at Sea. 7:34 a.m. to 6:47 p.m. 7:34 a.m. Day 5. Dawn. Sarah and I survived the night. The cabin held. The barricade wasn't tested. We slept in 2-hour shifts. One watching, one resting. Not real sleep. Just exhausted semi-consciousness. But better than nothing. We're functional. We're broadcasting. We're alive. That's victory on Day 5. The ship in daylight looks different. Less horror movie. More disaster zone. We can see the damage. Broken windows, barricaded doors. Bodies on exposed decks. The beautiful cruise ship is wrecked. Not from storm or collision. From internal collapse. From its passengers and crew destroying it from within while trying to survive. The ocean is calm. We're drifting. Captain Chun abandoned the bridge when he evacuated. The ship is unmanned. No navigation. No steering. We're floating on current and wind. Moving slowly northwest. Away from shipping lanes. Into open ocean. Each hour takes us farther from potential rescue. We're isolating ourselves through drift. 8:04 a.m. Population count. Amanda Price from Deck 14 is coordinating census. Via radio, she's contacting all survivor groups, getting numbers. The count is grim. Deck 14 safe zone. 287 people, lost 13 overnight. Deck 12 VIP area. 14 people, lost 4 in offensive. Deck 10 luxury suites. 39 people, lost 3. Deck 7 to 9 scattered cabins. Approximately 180 people across dozens of isolated positions. Total confirmed surviving humans. 520 people. We started with 4,200. We're down to 520. That's 87.6% casualties in less than 24 hours. The infection killed over 3,600 people in one day. And the infected count continues growing as the dead reanimate. We're outnumbered maybe 8 to 1. The ship belongs to them. We're just surviving in the spaces they haven't reached yet. 8:29 a.m. Dr. Webb is broadcasting from Deck 14 medical station. He's been working non-stop treating injuries from evacuation and infected encounters. He's exhausted, running low on medical supplies. But he's documenting what he's learning about the infection. Transmission requires fluid contact. Bites are primary vector, but scratches work. Blood exposure works. Possibly saliva contact with mucous membranes. Basically assume any interaction with infected carries transmission risk. Symptoms appear 5 to 15 minutes post-exposure. Fever, aggression, cognitive decline. Death within 30 minutes to 2 hours. Reanimation 2 to 5 minutes post-death. The cycle is fast and fatal. No cure, no treatment that slows progression. Once infected, death is certain. The only choice is how you die. Fight until the infection takes you. Self-terminate to avoid turning. Isolate and let it happen alone. All terrible options. No good ones. Webb recommends self-termination if bitten. Says it's mercy. Prevents you from becoming threat to others. Gives you control over your last moments. Dark advice. Practical advice. Necessary advice. 8:56 a.m. We're organizing supply coordination. Deck 14 has food from buffet, but it's running low. Price estimates 3 days of food at current rationing. We need to locate other food sources. The ship has multiple kitchens. Storage areas, pantries, all on lower decks now controlled by infected. Someone needs to raid these areas. Risk their lives for supplies that benefit everyone. Price is asking for volunteers. She needs 10 people. Promises them double rations if they succeed. Priority medical care if injured. Honored status in the community. She's creating incentive structure to encourage life-risking behavior. It's manipulation. It's leadership. It's how you get people to do dangerous necessary tasks, and it works. She gets her 10 volunteers. 9:24 a.m. The supply raid launches. 10 people from Deck 14, armed with improvised weapons, kitchen knives, fire axes, metal pipes. They're descending to Deck 3, where main kitchen is located. Dr. Webb estimates they'll encounter 30 to 50 infected minimum. The volunteers know the odds. They're going anyway. For community, for survival, for double rations. For whatever reasons motivate people to risk death for uncertain reward. Sarah's monitoring their progress. They've cleared Deck 13's stairwell. Moving to Deck 12. Encountering scattered infected. Eliminating them quietly. Stealth tactics. Avoiding large groups. Smart fighting. Disciplined. They're well coordinated. Better than expected. Maybe this succeeds. 9:51 a.m. The supply raid has reached Deck 3. They're in the kitchen, finding food. Dry goods, canned items. Frozen food starting to spoil but still usable. They're loading bags. Moving fast. Efficient. The raid is working. They're going to pull this off. Then the infected arrive, not small group. Massive horde. Estimate 100 plus. Drawn by noise, by movement. The raiders are trapped in the kitchen, surrounded. They're fighting. Desperation combat. Close quarters. Blood everywhere. 7 raiders are killed in first minute. 3 escape. Run back to stairwell. Abandoning the supplies. Abandoning the dead. Just running for their lives. The 3 survivors make it back to Deck 14. Empty-handed. Traumatized. 7 dead. No supplies obtained. The raid failed completely. Price's face on the radio is devastated. She sent 10 people to die. Got 3 back. Achieved nothing. The weight of command. The cost of leadership. She's bearing it. But it's crushing her. 10:19 a.m. Food situation is critical. Deck 14 has 3 days. Other groups have less. We're going to starve unless we find supplies. But supply runs are suicide. The infected density on lower decks is too high. Maybe with larger force. Better weapons. Different tactics. But we don't have larger force. Don't have better weapons. We're trapped on ship with limited resources and no way to acquire more. Sarah's suggesting alternative. Fish. We're surrounded by ocean. Ocean has fish. If we can catch fish, we have food source. But fishing requires access to water, either from deck level or from lifeboats. And fishing takes time. Creates exposure. Attracts infected who are drawn to activity. It's risky. But less risky than raiding infected controlled kitchens. We're discussing implementation. 10:47 a.m. Emily's still alive. She radioed. She's been in that bathroom for 18 hours. The infected outside have stopped testing the door. Either they forgot she's there, or they're waiting. She has water from the sink. No food, she's weak. Dehydrated despite water access. The stress is killing her even, without infection. She's asking Sarah for advice. Sarah has none to give. Just words of comfort. Just lies that sound like hope. I'm listening to this conversation. It's breaking both of them. Emily's dying slowly. Sarah's watching helplessly. And I can't help either of them. Can't rescue Emily. Can't comfort Sarah effectively. Just witness. Just document. Just broadcast their tragedy to 500 other survivors who are experiencing their own tragedies. This is Outbreak, not just infection. But the emotional destruction of watching people you love die in ways you can't prevent. 11:23 a.m. The Deck 10 luxury group is reporting success with fishing. They're using balconies, dropping lines into ocean. They've caught 4 fish in 2 hours, small ones. Not much meat, but it's food, proof of concept. If every balcony group fishes, we might sustain ourselves, might avoid starvation. It's not solution, it's survival extension. But extension is victory when the alternative is dying tomorrow. Price is coordinating fishing network. Every group with balcony access is deploying lines, creating distributed food production. It won't feed 520 people adequately, but it supplements existing supplies, extends the timeline, buys us more days to figure out long-term solution or wait for rescue that might never come. 12:14 p.m., noonday 5. We're approximately 36 hours into Outbreak. The initial chaos has organized into stable horror. Survivors are grouped, defended, coordinating. The infected are wandering lower decks, occasionally testing upper deck defenses. Both populations have settled into equilibrium. Humans in upper territory, infected in lower. The ship is divided. Captain Chun is broadcasting from a lifeboat. He evacuated. He's alive. He's guilt-ridden. He's explaining his decision. I abandoned my ship. I abandoned my passengers. I failed my duty. I'm not asking forgiveness. I'm not justifying. I'm just explaining. I believed evacuation was only option. I believed staying meant dying. I was wrong. You're surviving on the ship, organizing, fighting. You proved survival is possible. I should have stayed, should have led. I failed. I'm sorry. It's honest. It's too late. Chun's apology doesn't undo his abandonment. Doesn't bring back the passengers who died during failed evacuation. But it's something. Acknowledgement. Guilt. The burden of command failure he'll live. He'll carry that burden forever. That's his punishment. That's his hell. 1:03 p.m. Dr. Webb has discovery. He's been studying infected corpses. Bodies killed during supply raid. He's noticing degradation, physical breakdown. The infected aren't maintaining their bodies well. No hygiene, no nutrition, no rest. They're operating purely on infection drive. And their tissues are suffering. Muscle deterioration, organ failure in non-essential systems. They're slowly falling apart. Webb estimates infected have maybe 2 to 3 weeks before significant motor function loss. After that, they'll be shambling wrecks. Easy to avoid, easy to fight. If we survive 3 weeks, the infected become manageable. The ship becomes reclaimable. We win by outlasting them. It's long timeline. But it's hope, real, scientific, achievable. The strategy shifts. Don't fight infected. Avoid them. Conserve resources. Wait for degradation. Let time do the killing. 3 weeks. 21 days. We have food for 3 days. We need to extend that to 21 through fishing, rationing, maybe limited supply runs. It's possible. Difficult, but possible. 2:17 p.m. Sarah's organizing entertainment. Not jokes. Not games. Just human connection. She's asking people to share stories. Who they were before Outbreak. What they did. What they loved. Creating oral history. Documenting the people we were before we became survivors. It's therapeutic. It's community building. It's remembering that we're humans, not just frightened animals hiding from predators. People are responding. A teacher from Ohio talking about her students. A mechanic from Texas describing his shop. A retiree from Florida remembering his late wife. Human stories. Normal lives interrupted by abnormal catastrophe. The contrast is poignant. These people were living ordinary lives. Now they're fighting to survive zombie outbreak on plague ship. The randomness is cruel. The unfairness is overwhelming. But the humanity persists. That matters. 3:34 p.m. Infected are changing behavior. Multiple groups reporting synchronized movement. The infected on Deck 6 are all moving toward forward stairwells simultaneously. Not individually wandering. Coordinated migration. Like they're responding to signal we can't detect. Moving toward objective we don't understand. Dr. Webb has theory. Hive behavior. Individual infected have minimal intelligence. But large groups develop emergent coordination, like ants or bees. Each individual following simple rules. The collective creating complex behavior. If true, infected aren't just mindless. They're distributed intelligence. And distributed intelligence adapts, learns, evolves. That's terrifying. If infected are developing coordinated hunting strategies, static defenses won't hold. We need to adapt faster than they do. Need to understand their patterns. Counter their tactics. It's arms race. Humans versus hive. Intelligence versus numbers. We're smarter individually. They're stronger collectively. Who wins depends on who adapts better. 4:47 p.m. We're approaching 48 hours of Outbreak. 2 full days. We've gone from luxury cruise to survival situation to besieged communities to waiting game. The crisis has phases. Each one requires different response. We're in the patience phase now. Endure, ration, avoid contact. Wait for infected degradation. Wait for rescue. Wait for something to change the equation in our favor. Sarah and I are settling into routine. 4-hour broadcast shifts. 4-hour sleep shifts. Maintenance of equipment. Rationing of food and water. Fishing from balcony. It's sustainable short-term. The question is whether short-term becomes long-term. Whether days become weeks, become months. Whether the Pacific Majesty becomes permanent home instead of temporary prison. 5:39 p.m. Emily stopped responding. Sarah's trying to reach her. No reply. Either her radio finally died or she did. We'll never know which. She's gone. Silent. Sarah's grieving. Not dramatically, just quiet pain. The loss of sister who was so close, but unreachable. Who died meters away while Sarah was safe and unable to help. Survivor's guilt, grief, helplessness. All mixing into psychological wound that won't heal. I hold Sarah, let her cry, don't offer platitudes. Just presence, just shared pain, because that's all we have. Connection in catastrophe, comfort in horror. We survive together, or we die together. Right now, we're surviving. And we're doing it in partnership. That matters. 6:47 p.m., sunset day 5. The ship drifts into its second night. The infected wander below. The humans hide above. The ocean rolls on. Indifferent. Eternal. We're specks of life on floating metal in vast water. Fighting for survival. Creating meaning from chaos. Refusing to surrender even when surrender seems rational. This is Outbreak FM, Day 5 ending, Day 6 coming. We're still here, still broadcasting, still hoping. The cruise became nightmare. The nightmare became endurance test. And we're enduring, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time. Until rescue or death or resolution. Whatever comes first. Stay with us. We'll see Day 6 together. And 7. And however many it takes.